Okay, let's get started. Let's take a look at DungeonDraft. So this is the title screen for DungeonDraft. You can see the logo created by Megasploot, the current version number that you're on, which for me is 0.9.0.1, which at the time of this recording is the latest release. There might be a new release tonight, or it might come out Monday. But if you're still on the original release, which was Sober Dwarf 0.9.0.0, you'll probably want to update. There's a lot of crash fixes and a whole bunch of other stuff that's already fixed in the newest release. And to do that, if you open up Dungeon Draft over here, I have up to date. If you aren't on the latest version, it will give you a link to Humble Bundle where you can go and check out the latest version, download the installer. You just have to run the installer normally. It will replace any changed files for you automatically, and you don't have to worry about a thing. One thing to note, if you do have issues opening your maps after the new update, there is an issue with the files that were generated in the original version where sometimes if you hit undo and then redo, things would be saved without their asset links, and so you have to go into the JSON file and remove that object yourself. It will delete it out of your map, but it will make it so that you can open it. If you're having an issue where Dungeon Draft is opening to a black screen or none of your maps are loading and there's not an issue with the JSON, which I'll also make a video about what to look for and how to get rid of it and how to make sure your maps can open again. But if there's no broken objects or anything like that, you might have too many backups set. So if we come here to the menu option in preferences, you can set your backup time from 10 minutes to 1 minute or whatever you want it to be, and your maximum number of backups kept. But if those maximum backups go over 50, there's a bug currently that causes Dungeon Draft to break. And so if you go into your backups folder, which is your app data folder for Dungeon Draft, you can go through, delete it so that you're not over 50 anymore, and you should be able to open your maps again. But anyway, back here at the main screen, we've got your about. That's not really interesting. Redo, undo, export, save, open, and new. I already showed you the preferences. Over here in object tags, there's also a list of all of the objects that are currently in the game. I think there's like 900 of these or something. And you can come through and change the tags that are available for all of them. You can also edit the sets, which are kind of like the overarching categories that things appear in. Or you can add or remove additional objects from them, which is cool. You can save that down here or close. I don't want to make any changes. I want to keep this as close to stock as possible. But that is everything for this main screen. So if we come in and start making a new map, we see that there's presets for the 40-inch and 55-inch TVs. But if you want, you can also come in and enter a custom tile amount up to 100 by 100. So if you play D&D 5th edition, that means you get 500 feet vertically and horizontally, which is an awful lot of space to be working with. I'm going to go ahead and change this to 55 inches so I get a few more tiles, and we're going to start with the map wizard. So let's hit OK here, and we see first off we've got options for dungeon and cave. Dungeons are more like your castles, your buildings, your rooms, and things like that. Caves are obviously caves. Let's take a look at what you get with dungeon first. Boundary is... Let's zoom out so we can see a little bit more of this map. The boundary kind of controls how much empty space there is on the outer edges of the map. Complexity is, how many of these things are connecting to each other and how many of the rooms lead into each other and different things like that. Density is how tightly packed the inner area of the map is for objects, or I'm sorry, not for objects, for rooms. So let's increase both of these and get a quick look at what we get. We also can select what type of floor we want. We've got two different types of wood. We've got hay, we've got sewers, we've got these fancy tiles that should be in a castle or a cultist room or something like that. We've got concrete, cobblestone, cave floor, carpet, and smart stone. But let's just do wood for now. We've got these outer wall segments of battlements, cobble, wood, stone, and concrete. We'll do cobblestone because I like the look of that, and we'll just hit generate real quick. See, we get a pretty cool room put together right off the bat for us. Let's reduce complexity down and see what we get when we hit generate a few more times. So as you can see, these are a little more spaced out. The rooms don't all necessarily lead into each other. Let's drop density down a little bit too and see that you can get simpler, a little bit more linear maps. If you start increasing the boundary, it really simplifies it because it has to provide you a lot more empty space on the outside, but that can be good if you want to have a big outer region or a field or something outside of a main boss's base or something like that, that you want to be relatively simple, where they might have to fight their way to this relatively simple area, or a wizard's tower or something like that. But that's basically how map generation works. If we come over here and change to cave, you'll see that you still have all three of these options, and the floor and wall options don't really go away, which would probably be a good thing, but this isn't even 1.0, so this is pretty good so far. And if we start hitting generate, we can get these really cool, complex cave layouts without going through any effort whatsoever, basically. Let's reduce the boundary, increase the complexity and the density. And if you don't like the way one looks, you can just keep hitting generate and generate until you do see one that you like, or one that's close enough to what you want, that you can go in and start modifying it yourself, and you can start reducing some of these sliders to get completely different looks. But let's take this one for example and just hit finish, and boom, you're suddenly in DungeonDraft normally. You can come in and you can use any tools that are available normally. You can start expanding out the caves, or you can start removing areas of the caves by using the cave brush and holding Alt. That makes it a minus tool, and I mentioned that in some of the later tutorials as well. You can start changing ground colors, wall colors. You can do everything. But that's just a look at the main application page and the map generator. Be sure to go to the next tutorial to start getting more information about the design tools in DungeonDraft, and the materials and the objects and the layers and the levels and everything. There's a lot in here, and we're just getting started. Thanks.